The Championship just never fails to disappoint. I go as far to say that that final day is one of the best we've ever had in the Championship. It was absolutely crazy. Commiserations to Hull, Wigan and Charlton fans on the relegation. Obviously Wigan still have the appeal, but those are the bottom three as it stands. Congratulations to West Brom on their promotion. Swansea as well for sneaking into the playoffs. We've got a lot to talk over today, and as always I'd love to get your opinion on everything that went on yesterday in the comments down below. I've been making Championship videos now for the past like 3 or 4 years, something like that, and I don't think I've been more invested in the Championship season than I have been this one. It's just been something else. From start to finish, this is why this is the best league in the world, and today we're going to be going over all the action, and I was speechless at the end of this. Absolutely speechless with all the twists and turns the evening took. Also, as it has been such a quick turnaround for this video as the game just took place last night and I'm recording now, I've not had time to go through the comments, but don't worry, your comments will be included if you did get any score predictions right in my next video where we go and predict the first leg of the playoff semi-finals. By the way, they're going on the weekend as well, so we don't get any break from the football. Normally those sides get a bit of respite, but we're going straight into the playoffs after this. But without any further ado, let's talk about these games. Starting out with Birmingham against Derby, I think even Birmingham fans would admit that they've got pretty lucky this season. How they got themselves into this situation where they were in a relegation scrap is absolutely beyond me. They've been comfortable mid-table all season, but then since the lockdown, the form just hasn't been there. Obviously, they parted company with Pep Clotet. For Birmingham, like a lot of other Championship clubs, but Birmingham especially, this is going to be a massive summer. They're going to come into a lot of money now with the sale of Jude Bellingham, obviously this being his last game for them. Very nearly scored as well, but it is absolutely vital that they invest this in the right areas of the squad. If they get this summer wrong, Birmingham could just go on an absolute freefall. They need to absolutely nail it this time. In terms of the game itself, Derby took the lead after just 6 minutes from Graham Shinney. Defending once again, not great from Birmingham. It's not been a particularly strong point for them lately. Ivan Sunjic did get them back into the game after Wayne Rooney had botched a clearance. Ben Hamer couldn't quite get in the way of that one. It took a bit of a deflection. Ben Hamer and the Derby goalkeeper situation, that's something they're going to have to sort out over the summer. But then late goals from Whittaker and a really nice finish from Sibley wrapped things up for Derby. And, you know, Derby, ultimately they fell short of the playoffs, but I think that what they've shown since the new year under Koku, going into next year with the youngsters they've had, I do think there's a lot of potential with this squad going into next season. There's definitely the foundations that have been built this season for them to go on and get better next season, whereas Birmingham, you do worry for them a little bit because they did get, like I say, they got a little bit lucky this time around with other results and teams and things like that. So Birmingham fans, let me know down below, what have you made of this season overall and what do you think needs to happen over the summer? Because at the moment, between these two, I see Derby as a club on the up and Birmingham a bit stagnant at the moment. And I've actually just seen on Twitter that Birmingham are deciding to retire the number 22 shirt in aid of Jude Bellingham. What? How out of touch are the people who run the things at Birmingham? What? I can't, don't get me wrong, I love the Jude Bellingham story as much as the next guy, but retiring the shirt number? I don't buy into that really. Not for a... No, it's not. That's not for me at all. Birmingham fans, what do you make of that? And then after that, we get to Brentford against Barnsley, and the Barnsley fans, congratulations, you guys must be absolutely buzzing. And I'm not gonna lie, I've backed Barnsley throughout the season, really, haven't I? At the start of the season, I did predict them to stay up, and for them to do it in the 91st minute, they've been in the bottom three for virtually all the season, up until stoppage time of the very last match. It is just the nature of the Championship that this sort of thing can happen. And if you've seen Struber's interview after the game, go and watch it if you've not, because you can tell what it means to him and what a job he's done at Barnsley, by the way. He came in and took the job when they'd won just one of their first 16 matches of the season. They were shipping goals like nothing else. At the time, we perceived it to be a young, naive squad who was only going one way, and that was back down to League One. But the way he's been able to galvanise them defensively, he shored them up. And more than anything, he's given this squad a bit of belief, you know, and you can tell that about them. When the quality's not always been there this season for Barnsley, they've had that fight under Struber, and that was on show in this one. Styles opened the scoring just before half-time, really nice finish into the near post. De Silva got Brentford back into it. Before that, though, there was a massive moment when Walton made an unbelievable save from Mbemo, pushing his chance onto the post. And then Clarkador comes up with the winner in the 91st minute for Brentford. It's going to be even more gut-wrenching, the fact that West Brom didn't win last night as well. You know, their destiny was in their own hands for this one. Had they won, they would have been promoted. I think it would have been a lot easier to take had West Brom had won that, and then Brentford could think, okay, we couldn't have done anything more. But the fact that they could have, that's something that manifests into the back of your head. And the fact they've lost their last 2 matches now, they're going into the playoffs against a Swansea side who I don't think anyone expected they'd be playing. Brentford fans, let me know down below what were your emotions after this one. And Barnsley fans, honestly, I'm absolutely buzzing for you guys. Bristol City against North End, considering there was nothing on this one, it was actually played at a decent tempo, to be fair. And I think that going into next season, obviously both clubs are going to have top 6 ambitions. The opening goal from Shoni Muwai, who's been on just a ridiculous goal drought, hasn't he? Not scored since December 10th. It was a lovely finish from this one. Really nicely worked as well. Good build-up play. The pass from Daniel Johnson, the back heel, which took 2 Bristol City defenders out of play. It's that bit of creativity that when DJ's not in the side, we really do lack something in that number 10 position. He's been the player of the season for us this season, deservedly so, won that award. And then the finish from Maguire as well, really well taken. Bristol City also had their moments. Jimmy Patterson had a free kick early on, which was well saved by Declan Rudd. North End also went close. Gallagher hit the crossbar. Quick word on Gallagher, by the way. I'd be absolutely gutted if we don't give him another year, really. I think that he's still got a lot to offer, even at his age. I think next season he's going to be 36, so, you know, he is getting on there, but I still think he offers something to this midfield. Speaking of our midfield as well, it was nice to see Tom Bayliss finally getting the run out in the league. I thought he had some nice moments when he came on. In the second half though, Bristol City did get back into it fairly early on. Joe Rafferty made a bit of a mess out of Andy Vyman's cross, which was pulled back, and then Jeju gets on the score sheet to make it 1-1. I'm interested to see what happens with Jeju over the summer and whether he stays or not. But continuing into the game, we did have several chances to go on and win this one. It just didn't quite happen for us. You can see by the match stats how many opportunities there were. You know, we had 22 shots in this one, 6 on target. We just couldn't quite find that second goal. But like I said, the game was played at a decent tempo and ultimately didn't have too much riding on it. Going into next season, both clubs have got big summers. For Bristol City and their manager search at the moment, seems like Chris Hughton is the #1 target. We then saw Cardiff confirming their place in the top 6 this season, actually climbing up to the 5th place with this win against Hull, which does see them relegated to League One. Obviously, relegation is always very tough to take in League One as well. A tough division to get out of. If you don't go up at the first time of asking, it just gets tougher and tougher after that, I think. And with this Hull squad at the moment, I don't think we've ever seen a bigger fall off. They were 1 point outside the playoffs going into January, and they've ended the season bottom of the table. It's been, I think a lot of people at the club have things to answer for, and ultimately it's going to be the fans that have suffered on the end of this season. But for Cardiff, I think that as soon as they got that first goal, they were looking comfortable after that, really. It was a really nice finish from Hoyle, and then Morrison makes it 2 before half-time with the free header. And obviously Danny Ward then wraps up in the second half with that goal, initially from the free kick, and then he's composed enough to score with the follow-up. But for Cardiff at the moment and going into the playoffs, I said it on the live stream last night, I don't think anyone wants to take on this Cardiff side at the moment. The way that Neil Harris has got them playing, they can play some decent football, but the way that I'd describe Cardiff more than anything is effective. I think they play effective football. And Fulham against Cardiff in the playoffs, I'll have my preview coming out tomorrow, but that's a very interesting matchup. The fact that we could have a South Wales derby in the final as well, that would be absolute carnage. For Cardiff though, Neil Harris deserves a hell of a lot of praise for the job that he's done there, where he took them over from and where they finished in the season. With Hull, a lot to account for over this summer. After that, we then saw Leeds beating Charlton by 4-0. Unfortunately, the result does see Charlton relegated, and we'll talk about Leeds in a second. But in terms of Charlton, I do feel a bit good that they've gone down, to be honest, because I think that Lee Bowyer there has done absolutely everything within his power to try and keep this squad up, and throughout the season he's been working against absolutely everything that's been thrown at him. You know, he's had the whole Conor Gallagher situation and him getting recalled, a ridiculous injury crisis at one point in the season where they had like 13 first team players out injured, the amount of youth team players who have had to step up into the first team who have actually had a really positive impact, who Bowyer's had to get absolutely everything out of, the Lyle Taylor situation we've had recently, the ownership issue. We didn't even know if Bowyer was going to be there at the start of the season with everything that was going on behind the scenes. Sometimes when the club gets relegated, you can throw a lot of accusations at the manager and the players. You should have done this, you should have done that. With Lee Bowyer and this Charlton squad though, I genuinely don't know what more they could have done. Like I say, they were working against absolutely everything that was going against them at the club, and considering all of that they took this to the final day and it was, you know, results elsewhere saw them relegated. I really do hope that we see Charlton back in the Championship soon, and you know, we'll wait and see what Lee Bowyer's future with Charlton is. You know, is he going to move on somewhere else? Charlton fans will be hoping not, but it'll be a very interesting summer for them. But genuinely, I do feel quite gutted for them. In terms of Leeds United, wow, I am excited to see what this side can do in the Premier League. For this one, I mean, they weren't hungover, they were playing with freedom for this one. The Ben White goal, absolutely superb. He takes it on his chest, hits it on the volley. Dylan Phillips could do nothing about that. The Stuart Dallas goal, the pass from Pablo Hernandez, absolutely visionary. And then goals from Roberts and Shackleton getting another in the second half wraps things up for Leeds. You can see the emotion at full time when they were lifting the trophy. This is a special group of players. I'm interested to see what they do over the summer, because under Marcelo Bielsa, this Leeds squad has all the infrastructure there. The sky's the limit for this Leeds squad, and for Charlton I really do feel bad. If you've seen Lee Bowyer's interview recently on TalkSport after this one, you can really see he's hurt after this. I really hope that he and the club can bounce back from it though, because they put absolutely everything into this season. For Leeds, well done you guys, you've deserved this moment. And what a story and what a season this has been for Luton Town. Survival in the Championship, Nathan Jones, he's only gone and done it. He was walking into what seemed like the impossible job. He came in obviously during lockdown. They had 9 games to go and they are 6 points off safety, and since the restart they've only lost 1 match, winning 3 of their last 4. It's been some revival to say the least, and this one, I mean, this one had its fair share of drama, didn't it? Blackburn took the lead from a fairly scrappy goal, disappointing one from Luton's point of view from Adam Armstrong. They got back into it thanks to 2 own goals, and then the Collins penalty in the second half. He was not missing that one, he nearly took the back of the net off. Sam Gallagher did get a goal back for Rovers though to set up a nervy finish, and they very nearly got an equaliser, but Sonny Bradley made an absolutely massive block which just saw the shot going wide. But there were absolutely fantastic scenes from full time in this one, and like I say, the job that Jones has done there, 19th in your first season back in the Championship. The survival stories that we've seen on the last day is something else, because Luton and Barnsley were the 2 who halfway through the season everyone thought, and myself included, were like, we'll write those 2 sides off, you know, they're far too cut adrift. The quality in their squad's just not there, but Jones has inspired that belief back into these Luton players, similar to how they were promoted last season. I'm sure their fans were absolutely ecstatic waking up this morning. In terms of Blackburn finishing the season in 11th, I will have a full season review coming out next week, I'd say, but I think they'll look towards next season as the time to really go on and push for the top 6, because they do have the capabilities in that squad. Huddersfield's season ultimately ended in disappointment as Millwall absolutely took them apart 4-1 in this one. It was a nice way for Millwall to win the season. It was a shame that they weren't playing for anything, but the progress that they've showed under Gary Rowett gives me belief that they could have a real good go at the top 6 next season as well. You know, had they had the full season under him, they really would have been challenging in that area of the table in the last day. But this Huddersfield squad, I think, could be reshaped quite a bit over the summer. We're still waiting on seeing who's going to be their next manager, but it was Millwall who took the lead in this one. Conor Mahoney with a nice finish after just 4 minutes. Colin Grant then got them level before half-time, notching in his 19th goal of the season. I think should Grant be sold, where that money will be reinvested, which is going to be crucial for Huddersfield going into next season. Cooper then from a corner gets Millwall back in front in the second half. He's always a danger man from those areas. There was an awful mix-up from Stearman for the 3rd goal, and then Bodvarsson wraps it up later on to make it 4 to Millwall. Ultimately, it was a disappointing end to the season for Huddersfield, but they have avoided the drop, and I wouldn't say it's progress to build on, but it at least gives them a platform to move forward next season and leave this one behind. And then to what was quite possibly the biggest capitulation that we've ever seen on the final day. Nottingham Forest 1, Stoke City 4. There's absolutely no excuses whatsoever for what happened for Forest in this one. We had quite a few shocks going on the final day, but none bigger than this. I was genuinely speechless at this. I could not believe it. Forest have had their place in the top 6 since Boxing Day, and they've gone and fallen out on the last day in the later stages of this match after absolutely falling to pieces against this Stoke side who had nothing to play for. Stoke are just out here ruining team seasons, aren't they? If we look back on the form that Nottingham Forest have shown since lockdown though, it was anything but playoff worthy. If we look at some of the late goals they've conceded as well since the restart, Sheff Wednesday 93rd minute, Huddersfield 97th minute, Barnsley the 94th minute, Derby the 96th minute, all these missed opportunities if you look back on them, but they still had it all in their own hands in this one. Even if they lost and they kept it down to a respectable margin, they'd have still made it into the top 6. But pressure does funny things to a side, and this Forest squad, I literally have no words. I can't sum up what's happened here. Forest did have some chances early on, but Danny Bath got Stoke in front. Forest did get back into it in the second half. You know, a draw would have been enough, but that only lasted for about 10 minutes, and then Stoke just capitalised on their chances when they went forward. Where does this leave them now for next season? What's the future of Lamucci going to be? Forest fans, get all your reactions in the comments down below, because I'm sure you were as speechless as I was. In terms of Stoke though, we've seen what they can do under O'Neill. Back-to-back fantastic wins for them, where I don't think anyone saw saw them picking up 6 points from their last two, but they've gone ahead and done it. And going into next season, with O'Neill having a full reign and, you know, a full transfer window as well, we'll see what they can do. And then, of course, the team that benefited from all that, Swansea 4, Reading 1. Swansea fans, let me know down below, what were you feeling last night? Because, my word, I don't think many people saw this one coming. Realistically, I don't think anyone gave Hull any chance, really, of beating Cardiff. So, Swansea knew going into this game that they were going to have to score goals. And in the second half especially, they had that mentality with them. You know, there was no celebrations after they scored. It was get the ball, get back, let's go again. The opening goal, by the way, from Brewster, oh my word, he has made the world of difference to this Swansea side. And going into the playoffs, it's an interesting proposition. Swansea against Brentford, with the way that Brentford have fallen away lately, and the way that Swansea have come out of absolutely nowhere. I did mention it a few videos ago before lockdown, who do I fancy to end the season quite strong, and Swansea were one of the sides who I was looking at, with the way they've played the loan market this season and how they've just picked up at the right time. Obviously, they started really well and they've ended really well. This was just a chaotic match. Puskas did get Reading back into the game. We had the Yakumete red card as well. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? But then in the second half, a goal from Cullen and 2 from Routledge. That Routledge header in the last minute, I can't imagine the scenes at every Swansea City household going up and down after that one. And it's moments like this why we just love the Championship, isn't it? Late drama. I don't think anyone could have predicted an outcome like this, but Swansea fans, fair play. You've hung in there all season, up and around the playoffs, and you've got your chance now. Sheff Wednesday's season ultimately ended in disappointment as Middlesbrough beat them by 2 goals to 1. They did open the scoring. Murphy, who has been probably one of the standout performers in what has been a pretty mediocre season for Wednesday this time round. His goal fairly nice, took a deflection and looped over the goalkeeper, but their lead was to only last for around 12 minutes before Paddy McNair, who had hit the post before, slotted it into the bottom corner to make it 1-1. Nicely worked goal, that one, from Middlesbrough as well, you have to say. And then late on, a Sombolonga in the 93rd minute to secure all 3 points. Joe Wildsmith made a bit of a meal out of that one, didn't he? But if we're talking about value for money this season, by the way, Sheff Wednesday have scored just 19 goals at home this season. 19. No side has scored fewer goals at home than Wednesday have. I remember in years gone by when teams or Hillsborough is like a daunting away ground to go. This season it's been a free hit for most sides, hasn't it? That's something that needs to change going into next season. I think there will be. I mean, I've said it quite a few times, it's going to be a big summer for a lot of Championship clubs, but for Wednesday as well, you feel like there needs to be a bit of a reshuffle there. Middlesbrough's an interesting one as well, because it looks as though Neil Warnock may be staying on for next season. I didn't think that that would be the case. I thought that he'd just come in for this season, save them, and then he'd be off in the summer. But at the moment, it looks like there's a real possibility that he could be staying. And should that happen, I mean, I'm not saying that Borough may be promoted next season, but he took over Cardiff in very similar circumstances to when he went in at Middlesbrough. You know, Cardiff were dwindling down in the lower regions of the Championship. He had half a season to keep them up, and in the very next season, he went and got them promoted. He needs the backing from the board. That's something, you know, there are areas of the squad where they do need to improve. But under Warnock, I think they go in the right direction. For West Brom, a point against QPR was enough to see them promoted, with results elsewhere. And once again, there were some fantastic scenes at full time for this one. And QPR got the best of both worlds, really. They didn't lose on the last day, and they didn't see any of their London rivals promoted either. Ryan Manning opened the scoring for QPR after 34 minutes. We all know he likes a goal from outside the box. Really nice finish from that one. Dan Garner gets a fantastic goal back just before half time, though. Goes through the legs of Joe Lumley, and it is Dan Garner's creativity who sets up Callum Robinson for his goal. More than anything as well, I'm just buzzing for Callum Robinson. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know how much I absolutely love the guy from his time at Preston, but he's been so committed to the cause at West Brom since he's come in, hasn't he? And West Brom's an example of how well they've done their recruitment. Their loan players have all bought into this system this season under Slaven Bilic, who has done a fantastic job. Eze did get a goal back for QPR, and it was a brilliant one. Touch to get in behind the defence, and then the finish into the top corner. Sam Johnson had absolutely no chance, but like I say, with results elsewhere, a point was enough. And West Brom, they may have, you know, been showing their nerves for the past few matches, but let's not forget the outstanding season that West Brom have had, and there's no doubt in my mind that they do deserve promotion, you know. I mean, they lost up until Boxing Day, they'd lost one match in the Championship, and that was against Leeds. It was an outstanding start to the season. We've seen them play some brilliant football along the way. You know, the link-up between Dan Garner, Pereira. They've absolutely blown some teams out the water, and it's a bit like poetry, really. The two sides who lost that in the playoff semi-finals last time, both Leeds and West Brom, have been promoted automatically this time. So, what a rollercoaster it's been the last 2 years, really, for both Leeds and West Brom. I'm sure you Baggies fans will enjoy celebrating for the next few weeks to come. And then to round things off, we had Wigan playing out a 1-1 draw with Fulham. The point for Wigan not being enough for them to survive thanks to the point deduction. Now, Wigan are, of course, appealing it. We'll wait and see what the outcome of that is. there'd be a massive uproar if that appeal gets successfully sanctioned and Wigan are then not deducted 12 points. Then we see Barnsley going down after they think they've survived. It's all of a mess, isn't it? But Wigan, it's a weird feeling that Wigan fans must be having at the moment, because they can't have asked for much more from this group of players. The manager, Paul Cook, who's been brilliant since the new year. The run of form that Wigan have been on both before and after lockdown has been absolutely excellent. He just came up against, you know, a very good Fulham side who are now unbeaten in their last 7 in this one. It was Kiefer Moore who opened the screen after 32 minutes. Cabano got Fulham back into it with a nicely taken free kick in the second half. And Wigan did go toe-to-toe with this Fulham side, and, you know, both sides had chances, but it just wasn't to be for them in the end. So wait to see what the outcome of this appeal is for Wigan. I mean, it's impossible to speculate, you know, whether they'll be successful or not, because realistically we just got no clue at all, do we? In terms of Fulham though, on a good run of form going into the playoffs, it has to be said. Like I say, unbeaten in the last 7 matches now. Fulham fans, you'll be going up against Cardiff. It looked like a long time like it would be Fulham up against Forest, but that's been blown out the window now. So it's Fulham up against Cardiff. Now that's an interesting matchup there. But guys, there you have it. There was all the action that went on last night in what is just the most unpredictable league in the world, it has to be said. Get all your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm interested to read what you guys made of it all, really. Coming up tomorrow, I'll have my playoff predictions for how I see the first leg of the playoff semi-finals going, which is taking place on Sunday and Monday. Apart from that though, guys, thank you very much for watching, and thanks for all the support you guys have shown on the videos throughout the season, really. It's been absolutely crazy, all the interactions that we've had this year. Once again, commiserations to Hull, Wigan and Charlton fans, and congratulations to Leeds and West Brom. It's been some season. But apart from that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.